To continue with our module 3, so this is the second part. So here, these are the illustrative examples of tactical decision making. Okay, so for the short overview of this part of the module, so the activity resource usage model and the concept of relevancy are valuable tools in making tactical decisions. So it is therefore important to see how they are used to solve a variety of problems. Applications include decisions to make or buy component, to keep or drop a segment or product, to accept or reject a special order at less than the usual price, and to process a joint product further or to sell it at the split off point. Okay. So in this module, we only have one learning outcome. That is to apply the tactical decision making concepts that we've learned in the previous part in a variety of business situations. Okay, so for the contents, so as mentioned earlier in our overview, so here we will be dealing with these types of decisions and applying the tactical decision making. So to make or buy, to keep or drop, accept or reject a special order, or decisions to sell or process further. Okay, so to start with, let us discuss about make or buy decisions. So of course here, when we say make or buy decisions, this is a decision of whether to make, create, or manufacture in-house that particular product or component, or to buy that components or services used from an outsider or from a supplier. So when we say buying from outside or from a supplier, this is what we also mean by outsourcing. So we outsource the technical and professional jobs. Okay, so here this is considered an important factor to make or in this make or buy decision. So outsourcing refers to the move of a business function to another company, either inside or outside of the country. So again, outsourcing is just purchasing or employing an outside party to do the task of producing those parts or providing services in behalf of the organization. Okay, so we have here an illustration to understand better this concept of buying or making our buying decision. So let us take the Talmage company. So here they produce 100,000 units of part 34B. So this part is used in one of its snow blower engine each year. So there is an outside supplier that offered to supply the part for $4.75. So the unit cost is as follows. Here, if the company is going to make for their own this part 34B, these are their unit cost. So they will spend $0.50 for direct materials, $2.40 for direct labor, $0.90 for variable overhead, 1.05 for fixed overhead. So the total unit cost to manufacture this is 4.85. So here, the overhead is applied on the basis of machine hours. So part 34B will require 30,000 machine hours per year. So if you could notice, we can compare already, okay, the cost of making and buying. Okay, if we will or if the company will produce this in-house, meaning to say they will make this for themselves, they will spend 4.85 per unit. However, if they will choose to purchase that from an outside supplier, so they will spend 4.75 per unit. Okay. So we have here the requirement. So first, what are the alternatives for the company? Second, assume that none of the fixed cost is avoidable. So we will list the relevant cost of internal production and external purchase. Number 3, which alternative is more cost effective and by how much? Number 4, what if $60,000 of fixed overhead is supervision for Part 34B that is avoided if the part will be purchased? So which alternative now is more effective and by how much? Okay, so to solve, we have here the solution. Number 1, the available alternative for the company is, of course, number 1, they will make the part in-house, or number 2, they will buy the part externally from the supplier. Okay, so these are the two options that is available. Okay, for the second requirement, the relevant cost of making the part are, if they will make it in-house, of course, the relevant costs are those which changes, okay, or differs from the other alternatives. So meaning to say, we are talking about the variable costs. So therefore, it includes direct materials, direct labor, and variable factory overhead. Okay, so this is the relevant cost for making the part. Okay, the relevant cost on buying option, on the other hand, is of course its purchase price. Okay, so that is the only relevant cost that is present. Okay, so again, these are our relevant costs for making and buying decision. Okay, for the third, so here we compared, okay, the relevant cost, okay, and the difference, and we can see there that uh, which alternative will be beneficial, meaning to say it will have a lower cost. Okay, if the company will choose to make the part, the total cost that they will spend is 380,000. Okay, however, if they will consider buying this part from the supplier, then the only relevant cost there is the purchase price. So the total is 475,000. So we can see that making this part in-house is much cheaper for the company. So because here the fixed overhead is not relevant, that's why it's not considered, okay, in the analysis. Okay, so we have, if you could notice in the solution, that 95,000 is a net advantage in favor of making the part in-house. So again, if you are the company, it is best for you to make this part in-house because you can save 95,000. Okay, next. What if, okay, so let us review the question for number 4. What if 60,000 of fixed overhead is supervision for the part that is avoided if it is purchased? So what happened now for number 4? Okay, so here, the supervision, which is equal to fixed overhead that is intended for supervision that is equal to 60,000, we consider this as relevant now. Okay, although it is fixed, but then it is relevant because if we will buy the part from a supplier, we can avoid this fixed cost, meaning to say we can save this. That's why, meaning to say this fixed cost now is considered relevant because it differs, okay, in one alternative. Okay, if we will make it in-house, we will incur the 60,000 fixed cost. If we will buy the component from outside suppliers, we can avoid it. That's why it makes it, that is why we consider this as relevant cost, although it is fixed in nature because it changes, okay, in the alternatives. So here, if that is the case, then our total cost to make this part on the company will be $440,000, and buying that the same also, $475,000. So again, if we could notice, the analysis shows still that 35,000 advantage in favor again of making the part in-house. Although we have added the fixed cost, but still the total cost is cheaper when the company will manufacture it in-house. Okay, so this is make or buy decision. So again, relevant costs should be considered, and they are very important in decision making. Okay, so cost analysis for activity-based cost management system. So typically, the relevant costs are more extensive, and extra care must be taken to determine which are relevant and how much. Okay, so in addition to the above or the information that we have provided, the cost of providing space includes annual plant depreciation. Okay, property taxes, annual maintenance. These costs are allocated to products based on the square feet that they occupied by the product's production equipment. This is if we are following activity-based cost management system. Okay, so here, if that is the case, if the company is using ABC cost management system, so we will follow this cost drivers that will be added into the cost that we consider. So for the activity, we have here the following. We have here the fixed cost and the variable cost. Okay, for the total capacity, expected usage, and unit of purchase. Okay, so this is again under the ABC management system. However, in our illustration, we just use the typical cost management system. Okay, but if the company is very stringent in identifying the cost drivers, the cost activities, and the cost itself, so they might use this one. But this is a more detailed type of cost management. So we consider everything that creates or adds to the cost. That's why we have the activity drivers. Okay, so therefore, if we use the ABC cost management, so we will have this analysis for the buying and decision making. So here, if you could notice, for making the product, we have the following costs. So direct materials, direct labor, providing the power, providing supervision, moving materials, inspection, inspecting the product, setting up equipment. Okay, those are the added costs aside from the direct labor, materials, and variable factory overhead. So they are very specific. Okay, that's why if you could notice, our total cost here is 587. 587,000. For the buying decision, this is 475. Okay, please take note of that. That's not 587. It's 475. Okay? So, if we will use the ABC system, the additional information provided by the activity drivers, so it changed our analysis. Okay, so now our decision is to better purchase the part from the outside supplier because it will have a net benefit of 112,000 per year if we will purchase it. Because if we will buy it from the outside supplier, our total cost is only 475,000. But if we will manufacture it in-house, the cost on the company will be 587. So see the change. Okay, if we will consider exactly the cost drivers under the ABC cost management system. Okay, so that's under the make or buy decision. Okay, so we go now to the second decision making, that is keep or drop decisions. So here, often a manager needs to determine whether a segment such as product line should be kept or dropped. So a keep or drop decision uses relevant cost also for the analysis to determine whether a segment or line should be continued or closed. In a traditional cost management system, the segmented income statements using the unit-based fixed or variable cost improve the ability to make this keep or drop decision making. Okay, so again here, the uh, the decision being faced by the company is either to shut down a particular product line or segment that is not gaining anymore, or to continue, okay, that line or segment. So to illustrate, we will use this example for Dexter Company. So here, it makes three types of GPS devices. So we have the basic GPS model. This is an entry-level GPS device. So it is sold through discounters and Amazon.com. The second is the runner's GPS. This is a miniaturized model that will allow the runner to track mileage, steps, and heart rate while running. So it is sold through athletic stores and on sports gear websites. The third type is the chart plotter, which is a specialized GPS device for sailors. So it can be customized with maps of the seafloor and specific geographic areas of coastline and deep water. So this item is sold via the web on dedicated GPS sites. So the company is considering dropping the basic GPS line, and they will keep the runner's GPS and the chart plotter. So here, they have provided the income statement for these three types of products. For the basic GPS, so the product margin is negative. That's why they consider it to be closed or shut down or dropped. While for the runners, GPS and chart plotter, it shows a positive product margin of $369,000 and $803,400. So that's why they will keep these two other products, because it has a positive profit margin. Okay, so in this case, actually, the income statement is not the only basis for the company to decide whether to drop or to keep one of their product lines. So we have to analyze further. Okay, so to continue, number one, we will list the alternative being considered. Number two, we will list the relevant benefits and costs of each alternative. Number three, which alternative is more cost effective and by how much? Okay, number four, what if dropping the basic GPS line would mean also a 10% loss of volume for the runner's GPS and 2% loss for the chart plotter? So which alternative would be more cost effective and by how much? Okay, so to solve, we have here the solution. So for the first requirement, of course, the alternative that is being presented to the company is either to keep the basic GPS or to drop it. Okay, number two, what are the relevant benefits and cost of keeping the basic GPS? So it includes, of course, its sales of $450,000, its variable cost of $324, the advertising cost of $85,000, and supervision cost of $60,000. All common fixed are irrelevant. Okay, none of the relevant benefits and cost of keeping the basic GPS line would occur under the drop alternative, because if we will drop, then probably basically we will not incur those expenses anymore, and we will not have the sales at the same time. Okay, so that's why those are considered to be relevant except for the common fixed costs. Okay, for number three. Okay, so number three, which alternative is more cost effective and by how much? So here, we can see that if we will keep the basic GPS, we will have a product margin of 19 or negative 19,000. okay, or a loss. But dropping it, of course, we do not have any gain or loss. So, overall, there is a $19,000 loss if the basic GPS line will be kept. Okay, so what do you think? So probably it is basically the uh, number one consideration of the company why they decided want to decide to drop the product line of basic GPS because of that negative 19,000 product margin. Okay, how about for number four? So number four, what if dropping or what if the company will drop the basic GPS will have the effect of having a loss of 10% on the runner's GPS and 2% on chart plotter. So what will happen? Okay, so here we can see that uh, okay, we can see here that if we will have or if we will drop the basic GPS, of course there is no product margin or positive or negative because we already shut it down. However, for the runner's GPS, we dropped by 10%. Okay, so it will now have 308 $8,200 dollars profit margin, and the chart plotter will also have 2% loss. So it also or their product margin also dropped by uh dropped to 782,032. So the main difference between the existing and this one in terms of operating income is a difference of $63,168. Before, if uh, the company will keep the basic GPS, although it's running at a loss, we still have operating income of 238,400. However, this time, if the effect of dropping the basic GPS will also have a loss on the runner's GPS and chart plotter product line. So our new operating income now will become 175,232. So we dropped the $63,168 operating income. So, but by the way, this is just, based on this illustration, we can say that it's better to keep the basic GPS although it's running at a loss. However, this is a call on the management of the company on what they will do or what to decide. But I think if they should drop the basic GPS, still they have positive operating income for both of the runner's GPS and chart plotter. So although they have a net decrease of $63,168 in terms of operating income, but still they have a positive operating income. Okay, and avoiding the loss on basic GPS. But then again, the decision will be or will rest on the company's management. Okay, so here this is just again for ABC uh, management costing. So if you could notice, okay, so there are activity drivers. Okay, just like what we have in our make or buy analysis under the ABC system. So here, um, this the analysis actually change. Okay, if we will keep the uh, so if we will keep this, basically it doesn't change. by the way. Okay, well, let us just adjust this one. Okay, because we cannot see it clearly. Okay. Okay, if we will use the ABC uh, cost management, normally we will add some um, cost there. Okay, if you could notice, aside from what we have included in the previous illustration, okay, so we have there the inspection, customer service, and materials handling that added to the cost. So mean to say, if there is added cost, so on the part of basic GPS, we also added their cost and expenses, and therefore added the negative product margin. So it's still the same. We just in this case, we just see that it will have a greater loss. So it is better for the company to actually drop the basic GPS. Okay, so that's for keep or drop decision.